Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer and subscriber. We know there's a deep divide in our country. There's the Republicans on one side, there's the Democrats on the other side. Our preferences make us either red voters or our preferences make us blue voters. I look at our country as a red, white and blue. You've heard me say that before. But here's the important thing. Further analysis of the results of the election have revealed that the divide is deeper than just red versus blue. It's deeper than Democrats versus Republicans. It is a deeper economic divide. Now, I have talked about the K-shaped recovery on our channel, and individuals at the top of the K, individuals who are high wage earners, individuals who can work remotely, individuals who have college degrees or higher have been able to recover. But individuals at the bottom of the K, individuals who are low wage earners, individuals in travel, entertainment, leisure, hospitality, disproportionately more African American individuals, more Latino individuals, disproportionately women, especially women with young children, single moms, especially with young children, have been disproportionately impacted as a result of this pandemic. But now, what if we were to take the extra layer of the election and look at the results of the election? Some fascinating data has emerged. You'll see this article on your screen that suggests the election showed a deeper and a wider red versus blue economic divide. Even though, for some of us, it's about the red, for some of us, it's about the blue. Places that had better prospects, places that had better economic prospects actually swung towards Biden. So based on counties with at least 98% of the estimated votes reported, there was a clear correlation between the level of education and the swinging away from President Trump. In other words, the more educated an individual was, and there's a factor, there's a correlation factor, the closer that number was to the number 1, the higher the probability that those individuals were less likely to support President Trump and more likely to support Joe Biden. In fact, you'll see this chart on your screen which shows you the economic measurements and the 2020 vote. And these are correlations with swings away from the president from 2016 to 2020, which, by the way, reflects the final count as far as the popular votes are concerned. Biden got more popular votes than Trump. So basically, 1 represents a perfect relationship and 0 represents no relationship. So on your screen, you'll see that individuals with a higher percentage of a college degree, in other words, individuals who had a higher degree of education, moved away from President Trump relative to 2016. Individuals with a higher median household income moved away from President Trump relative to 2016. Individuals with a higher projected job growth moved away from President Trump relative to 2016. More educated places, which were basically leaning Democrat to begin with, voted even more Democrat in 2020 relative to 2016. Now, are there highly educated red counties? Of course there are. But highly educated Republican-leaning counties, according to this data, like Williamson County near Nashville and Forsyth County near Atlanta, have become rarer with each subsequent election. By the way, I'll provide you with a link to this article in the description section below, so you can definitely check it out for yourself. Just some incredible data here. Now, this is important. A more educated workforce definitely is good for the future success of our economy, because as individuals get more educated, that's a good thing for our economy overall. And it leads to better prospects. It leads to higher pay. It leads to the ability to do remote work, managerial work, which, by the way, those are the industries that have recovered the fastest during this pandemic. Now, the jobs that require more education are projected to grow faster, and they are less likely to be at risk for automation. Now, this is very important. The automation part is very important. Now, counties where more jobs are routine, in other words, those jobs can be performed with a strict set of guidelines. Those are called routine jobs. They are at a greater risk of automation. They voted strongly for President Trump in 2016 and even more strongly for President Trump in 2020. Whereas counties with fewer such jobs, in other words, where there were fewer jobs that were routine, jobs that were at risk of being lost due to automation, they actually swung towards Joe Biden. This is just astonishing. So let me give you an example of jobs that are considered routine and therefore at risk for automation. Now keep in mind, a routine job can be accomplished by following explicit rules and an explicit set of instructions. They are again the most at risk for automation. Keep in mind that Andrew Yang, who ran for president, did indeed talk about the risks of automation. So what are routine jobs that can be accomplished by following explicit rules? These include manual jobs, jobs that involve routine occupations like truck drivers, jobs that involve, cashiers, customer support representatives. And, these jobs tend to be middle wage or low wage jobs. Now, keep in mind, non-routine jobs generally tend to be higher wage managerial jobs. They tend to be professional service occupations. And so there's clearly a difference between a routine job, which is at risk for automation, and a job that involves more managerial skills, that involves higher education. It's very clear based on the data, based on individuals, where their job data is available. Keep in mind the job data is available through the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So when you take the data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, so let's show you the chart again on your screen that demonstrates the economic measurements and the 2020 vote. You see the fundamental economic and status measures. You see the economic outcomes under President Trump during the pandemic and before the pandemic. This data is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a government agency. Let's take a look at another chart on your screen, which is actually going to be quite surprising. This chart shows you the Trump vote based on the share of routine jobs. I've given you examples of routine jobs, jobs that can be performed with a set of explicit instructions like customer support reps, cashiers, truck drivers. These jobs are again most at risk for automation. So keep in mind that the president's support decreased more in counties where a lower share of the jobs were considered at risk for automation. In other words, if more and more individuals had a higher education and were less at risk for automation, that's where President Trump suffered more in 2020 relative to 2016. Take a look at this chart on your screen, which shows you President Trump's margin in 2016. It actually declined in 2020. So in 2020, as you can see, where the share of workers whose jobs are considered at risk for automation, where that share of workers declined, in other words, where individuals were doing better economically because they didn't have to do a routine job, they were doing they were pursuing a higher paid job, presumably with higher education. Even without higher education, you could get a higher paying job depending on your skill set, depending on, whether you end up as a manager somewhere. So those individuals who lived in counties where the dependence on a routine job had reduced, essentially, those individuals were less likely to support President Trump. Very important for you to see this chart on your screen. Now, keep in mind, not only did places with brighter future economic prospects swing less towards President Trump and more towards Biden, but places with a stronger economy over the past 4 years did better as well, in the sense, but places that had a stronger economy over the past few years were more likely to vote for Biden. In fact, counties with a faster job growth and lower unemployment rates before the pandemic swung more towards Biden than other counties. Just incredible. And counties that had very mild job losses and smaller jumps in unemployment, in other words, that didn't suffer as much, they also swung more towards Biden, even though I want to be clear, Republican-leaning places suffered less during the pandemic than the Democratic one. So this is the fascinating part of this entire research, if you will, because individuals who are fundamentally doing better, who are less reliant on routine jobs, there was a lower probability of their job getting impacted due to automation. Individuals presumably with a higher education, presumably with more managerial positions, presumably with the ability to do remote work, who, by the way, have recovered the fastest during this pandemic. I've talked about the fact that this is a K-shaped recovery. Those individuals swung more towards Biden than they did towards Trump. So remember, in close elections like this, a small shift can determine who wins the election, which is fundamentally what happened over here. This was an analysis of not only our voting patterns, but also an analysis of data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics about the economic divide. Not only is the division in the United States about the red versus blue, but the division is also about those who are more educated doing higher skilled jobs versus those who are less educated, who are essentially doing routine jobs. And there is now an emerging link between these categories of individuals and whether they tend to vote more Republican or more Democratic depending on an individual's income level, depending on an individual's overall economic prospects. Just some fascinating data. So that's it, everybody. Let me know what you think of this this rather interesting timing, if you will, in the comment section below. Please comment below and let us know what you think. Also, you'll find the link to all our reporting in the description section below. I really appreciate you watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. You can get on our SMS list, get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000, and you'll get added to our SMS alerts list. You can, if you want, also get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and then you can get added to our email list, and you can opt out of the email list or the SMS list at any point in time that you want. No worries. Sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications on time, so simply go to youtube.com/ignitiontime and simply bookmark our channel. This way you can visit our videos anytime you want. You're not going to miss out anything, and you can check out the videos at your convenience. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Follow us on Instagram for exclusive content. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You'll get breaking news and alerts about matters that are important to the country, to the economy, and most importantly, to your money. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like. That would be your vote of confidence in us, and that really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Please ignite the subscribe button. Please ignite the notification button, because the name of our channel is Ignition Time. I'm so happy you decided to take a few minutes of your day to share with us, and I really appreciate that. Please share this video with friends and family. Speaking of sharing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.